I personally have a question, but I would love to listen to the students first, if they have some.
I have a question. How was the reaction that you got after your film came out?
Where?
In Norway.
In Norway or in Russia, or because they are different.
I mean, yeah, I'm interested in the different reactions that the film got.
Oh, it's interesting where to start. You know, in Norway, it was received. First of all, it was screened at Bergen Spectacle. It was quite amazing setting. It was ice cinema. It was -20, but at the same time, people watch it outside, use different type of warming, and yeah. So, but at the same time, I think for Norway, it's quite hot topic and hot issue, which for them it's kind of hard to cope, because when we research in Norway on about possibility of doing new work, and we come to the question of kids transferred from families and mostly with migrant background, and actually all court cases was kind of closed. You can get no access to them because of the privacy of the issues. So, and then it was our conscious choice to work with it. And especially because it was also border issue where we as the Russians could really engage quite properly. So, but at the same time, it was also very interesting to see how Norwegian public sphere and institution can really integrate and also instrumentalize even our film to make that system a little bit better. So we heard that film was used to teach inspectors, the one who actually you saw in the film, to behave differently in this kind of situation.
And to be honest, it makes me really proud, you know, because now they use it as a methodological kind of
tool. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I remember that we had reaction like, thank you guys, you open for us our hidden problems. Yeah.
Right. In Russia, it was not so, I mean, of course, it was also quite big issue in this area where minor city with very repressed public sphere. So we can also be accused of making situation more gloomy as it is not, but it's actually not. Actually, reality is much more brutal than it's shown in the film, I would say. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, since you just told that the movie is being used in order to improve this system of biopolitics.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you feel about biopolitics in general? Because the movie, I feel it's a bit, critical about it, but then in the end, it's used to improve the system of biopolitics.
It's quite good question. I mean, yeah, we are already not really critical. We are very radically against that kind of biopolitics, especially in Norwegian-Russian, which really regulates that quite very vulnerable and very subtle type of relations. So which exist in migrant families, which you can get really need to much more gentle, much more kind of sensitive relation to. At the same time, you know, Norwegian, you know, it's a quite interesting society where everything is regulated in very high state level based on certain consensus. And I guess it was not our purpose to improve it, but at the same time to raise awareness. It's something quite very gloomy, very, oh, how to say it, very brutal things actually happening. So we should really do something against it and make awareness what else art can do. And their approach, it's still for us maybe not totally clear how they continue to deal with that, because it was not just the case with Russian people, it was the case with Brazil family, very notorious case with Indian family. It was quite high level, state level kind of scandals, which happened many times or few times when they reach such a broad international, even public sphere. But at the same time, yeah, for us was also very interesting to reveal, you know, actually this film belonged to our a series of research, of deep research of state of biopolitics in Western European societies. Like we did Baden-Baden lessons of disconsent. We did Museum Singspiel in Netherlands, which actually can be described generally in that broad context of criticizing hidden fascist tendencies in European society. And I think this way of work, which we do kind of from outside, but at the same time belonging to that deep European tradition of kind of anti-fascist, kind of Frankfurt School, analyze. I think it's important, and we hope that our contribution really makes sense. Yeah. You want to say something?
No, just something. You know that Norwegian society is such society. They are pretty unique, guys, because they really want to be better. And if our film helps them to be better, we are just happy. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
My question is that it's much more formal, let's say, but I know it's quite important. So I would love, because I said something before about Chto Delat, also because, of course, like the connection with us, like from Italy and from the Arte Povera movement is very strong, since you know that some of the artists of the Arte Povera were working on the sentence Chto Delat, which in Italian is che fare.
Yeah, che fare.
Yeah. But yes, I would really love to listen from you something about Chto Delat. So what is Chto Delat, what you do, and how many? Because I've met Nikolai here last year, but which is not, you're not Nikolai, none of you.
Yeah, Nikolai not with us.
So what does, I mean, what you do as a collective, and also what it means to work as a collective in the field of arts, let's say. So if they can say something about Chto Delat, basically. So this is my question.
Me?
It is a collective, you see. But you don't know how to start, you can delegate it.
You know, we are very pity that Nikolai somehow disappeared, but he's in Italy right now. He couldn't get us to Athens, you know. But at the same time, we also discovered that Italy has very bad internet connections, especially in spaces in the south, you know. He is somehow in the Lecce, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you imagine. And you know, it's one of the most fundamental questions which haunting, you know, Arte Povera, Jean-Luc Godard, Auguste Ball. It's one of the core kind of leftist question because actually it has consequences. So it means that before you act, you analyze something. And what is to be done, it's actually point of departure for analyzing concrete situation in concrete historical environment or whatever you call it. So, and for us as an artist, the answer could be very humble. So we keep on making our critical and negative position towards the world as it is and imagining it otherwise. And collective, being collective is the first step. So you really refuse your personal ego and kind of
you try to do it.
You try.
It is not very often. It is not possible, of course, but you try to do it. You always try to be in communication. You always try to keep a balance between you and other people. Because maybe you know that we have 10 members in our collective, 10 guys, and we are together more than
18 years.
18 years, and that's pretty long time. Of course, 6 people in our group are more theoreticians. We have philosophers, poets, curator, and yeah. But we the
artistic self.
Artistic part of our group is only 4 members: Dima, Dmitry Velensky, Nikolai Oleynikov, Nina Gasteva, she is our choreographer. She is doing dance performances.
Body walk.
Yeah, I'm kind of play a role of director. And so we are 4. We are always in contact. We always, you know, keep our hands like this, you know. We're always in touch, you know. And I should say that it is not easy, but at the same time, it makes me personally very, very strong, much, much stronger than if I am doing something myself, you know. But you always in the position when somebody is watching you, you know, and that's you're never alone, you know. And it's pretty. Now I try to explain you something very personal, but I should say that to create the collective and then to keep the collective, it's difficult, but this job can bring you a lot of happiness. So guys, that's my recommendation.
No, always, you know, because we have also our school and actually quite deeply engaged in pedagogy. So, and actually our main kind of focus is actually to invite our participants of the school into collective practice, to see them something more than their personality, to understand and recognize the space in between. And that also very, very important task. And maybe that's an answer, because actually we keep thinking that maybe things not fall from above, but you have to really grow them slowly from below. And actually attempts to do something collectively is kind of basic things, the only things which you can do. And unfortunately, not so many sustainable examples of that practice. Yeah. I don't know if you answer your question, what is to be done, but you know the question, what is to be done, what's the sense of life, you know? Yeah, more or less similar.
Yes. And are there any questions also online, maybe?
Please.
We would love to listen to some Dutch voices as well. Because you're the only one speaking a good English. I mean, Russian and Italians, we always kind of learn each other how to be, you know, communicative. We feel close. Instead the Dutch ones, they very good on that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Actually, I don't really have a specific question, but I just wanted to thank you because it was really interesting, and I have a lot of things to think about now. So I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, you can ask something.
Bye.
Is there a specific reason why you decided to have all the action in an indoor staged scenario, like in an indoor fake house and environment?
Your microphone is off.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Yes.
You mean the question why we decided to make it kind of theater or set, indoor, artificial set?
Yeah, artificial mainly, not indoor, outdoor, because there was also
would you expect kind of documentary or?
Yeah, because our task was to create kind of model, kind of construction, because we wanted to make visible things which are usually hidden. Yeah, and this is why we created just a construction, because it's not like normal real life. It's kind of puppets on the stage, and we wanted to create this feeling, puppets. Because we wanted to make this visible, like, you know, the puppet theater.
Is there a reason why you chose to not include the sun? Is there a specific reason why you chose to not include the sun?
What do you mean include the sun? Not to include the sun, not to show him.
No, the sun.
Yeah, thank you for your question, because it's very important.
Yeah, we actually get big problem with that. Yeah.
Big problem, because sun is a kid, but kids in our life doesn't play any roles, you know, has own roles, because we love them and we have decision about them, but
they don't have subjectivity.
They don't have subjectivities, you know, because
actually it was also very interesting that in relation, as far as we could research, the voice of kid, if she would like to stay in the family or be transferred to another family, was not ever discussed. So it was actually kind of objective regulation which discussed the danger for the kid to stay. And if the danger considered reasonable, the kid should be moved. Doesn't matter. So we heard few cases when the kids tried to return, but at the same time, it was really also, as we said at the very beginning, that this issue is so sensitive and so many real evidences and materials and court cases, you don't have access. It's completely kind of closed issues. Then we see that we can go deeper in a kind of formal research. So we decide, okay, then we can really construct it. But at the same time, we also discussed many times if the kids should pop up in the play. And then we saw there is no space for that, even conceptually. It could be wrong, you know? That's why the kid is a kind of passive object, which is under biopolitics of the state and regulation. So the inspector come and say, kid should move.
Yeah.
So the mom was delivered information that kid behaved not properly in the school.
Yeah.
but we really decided consciously not to use kid as a real agent in the
Maybe kid can have her own ideas, his or her own thoughts, but who knows? Yeah, who is interested in that? To listen to that.
Yeah, for this construction becomes a little bit non-relevant.
And why did you choose to do a musical and not a film?
You know, it's a general question. You know, we love musicals, and actually we think and believe after Brecht and some other people that actually for the music, it's very powerful instrument of orchestration. So that songs and songs, whatever you call it, from Great Russian opera, yeah, we are super inspired and we love to work with composer, especially, you know, aesthetic of the film and aesthetic is essential, real, for us is super important, and actually music allow you to make a certain type of biased mood or negation mode, whatever. So yeah, so that's quite traditional genre, I would say, but at the same time, we consider it super powerful socially and politically as in the wake of that kind of tradition. Yeah. And you know, it was actually our fifth or sixth Singspiel where we worked with music.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but what was why we choose music as a core?
Guys, you know, we usually try to create the language which is understandable for everybody. You know, I have an idea, very deep idea, that we are creating kind of democratical language which is open, and music help us.
No, I agree also with Olga, because it brings also another dimension, because we use a very special type of tradition of Soviet realistic music. Yeah, which is not minimalist music from the West, but kind of that socialist tradition of Shostakovich, and well, Dunayevsky, and so on. And we collaborated with one of very interesting composer, whom we really like. And right now we work with another composer. So, but yeah, but at the same time, this tradition quite different from Western tradition of minimalism, which also link us very much to the Brecht tradition,
Yes,
which also for us is a kind of Soviet tradition, or at least a kind of reminiscent.
and of course, music for us is kind of a way of alienation. Yeah.
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah, you told. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, and also about the music, actually, during the whole musical, like all the songs are played and sung only by the Russians, let's say, apart from the last one.
Last song, oh, come on, that's the most important.
Wait.
So I was because of course there are all the two moments where, let's say, the Norwegian are involved in the music, but one is the moment with the girls when they, you know, they do the dance, and they're kind of making ironic, you know, a representation of someone else's music, and also when the guy is like beating like him, you know.
Russian song.
Russian song.
Yes, and Tanya is playing with the accordion, and he's like dancing, but it's very ironic. So basically, like the music is like the Russian word. So then why you decided to end the musical with a song which is instead played and sung by the Norwegian ones? So like the music is not anymore, let's say, the Heimat, you know, the land, the homeland, but it's instead something the other way around. Is there a reason for this or not?
Yeah.
Very interesting reading.
Very reading, and thank you for the question one more time. You know, because minors who are thinking and Tanya, they have, I mean, minors, it's obvious that it's Tanya's unconsciousness.
Unconsciousness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so she's, it is her communication with herself, you know. Minors, it's her, not all Russian girls has minors inside our body. So, and our communications with our minors is like this, you know, we are always singing our Russian songs. But when one day, when she decided that, yeah, she has to stop her communication with her own minors, she started to sing the choir with Norwegian. No,
but she
that's
keeps
why.
silent in this choir.
No, yeah, but she joined to this.
Yeah, you
Norwegian
know, it
choir.
was actually, I remember, sorry, you know, it was actually 6 years long, but you revival our long discussion about the role of the sun. And actually, it was very good discussion about if Tanya should sing the last song together with Norwegian or should keep her mouth shut. And we decided, no, she's joining, but not sing.
Because she has to construct her new voice, you know, because she left it in her past, and now she
no, but
on the
she
way to
sacrificed her. It's also
course,
Brechtian
yes.
tradition, you know, to speak about sacrifiction, you know. And then, yeah, after that, she lost everything, you know, she lost her voice and her connection with the ghost, because minors is also kind of ghost. Right now, we are very much after making our whole semester on hauntology in Petersburg. So I would say that minors are ghosts.
No, kind
So,
of.
and then you can also consider that it's her relation with the ghost and specters are super important. At this moment, she become real because she stopped communication with the ghost. No, I mean, I understand.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Yes.
Yeah. I have the last question.
No, yeah.
Last question.
Yeah. Yeah, you were telling in the introduction that you were like invited or something like that, and you didn't know anything about, the Norwegian culture. So you were like trying to find some issue to talk about it, and then you found it and you did the thing. And my question was, how did you feel, like, since you are Russian, like you're a Russian collective, how did you feel like going to another place and talk about issues of others, and how this thing also is perceived by others, not only Norwegians, but generally, like how is perceived that people from a different country go to another country and try to find problems and talk about those problems.
You like?
No, you, of course, you will start, but just for the beginning, I would like to tell that we were invited. It was not our own, you know, desire to go and teach people how to be better. We were invited, first of all. And go ahead.
You know, actually, your question is quite simple and actually raise that kind of ethical tone, who you are to speak in the name or about the others. So for us, the entrance into that kind of Norwegian situation happened only when actually we travel from Oslo backwards to the north, to the direction of Russian border. And actually we failed completely. So, okay, you can talk about arms trade of Norwegian, quite really spooky things, especially in Africa. But at the same time, I got impressions that it's pretty enough of good Norwegian artists who can deal with this topic. And only when, as we discussed in our introduction, found that interconnection between Norwegian situation and Russian situation, then we found our legitimacy to speak about it. So we as Russians here have something to say. which is absolutely legitimate and valid, you know, quite serious things, which might Norwegian society not yet recognize, but for us, it's important and we really can say something. Also, it was very interesting that it was produced by one institutional critique always comes together with these issues. It was produced by one institution in Norway, in Kirkenes, that border city, which actually runs by Russians. So it was also quite weird situation where one of the very important, I mean, in a scale, really important Norwegian art cultural institution, Barent Spectacle, was actually at that moment until now was mostly kind of run by Russian people. I mean, originally Russians, but they lived in Norway, but same time their relation was also, yeah, but maybe we told about that and make a credit to the activity, which we really respect. So I would say only through that, yeah, also we could mention that we did many walks in different contexts where we've been invited, but we always bring our own voice. So like in Belgrade or in Netherlands, where we create imaginary situation which very much mimicking Russian political control, which we have today and not yet have a no in Netherlands, you know. And yeah, also our recent cycle on the work on Zapatism, also quite related with our personal interpretation and influence on Zapatism on our life. So yeah, you have always come from inside yourself, and then you can really open up new contexts where you claim completely new kind of legitimate voices which might be lacking there, and then you come and you contribute, and we hope it, yeah, it might work. Yeah.
Great. So I guess we finished with the questions. So, thank you a lot.
Thank you.
A big clap.
Yeah, we missed Citadel, you know, we've been a year ago, and yeah, and now the whole world changed, you know.
Yes, yes. But yes, thank you again for letting us see the movie and also for the discussion. It has been a very intense moment for all of us. And yeah, also the fact that it was like the movies, I mean, it was completely true. The fact that by the music, it was much easier to enter
Yes.
your intent, your, you know, of course, we do not know neither Russian, neither Norwegian. Of course, thanks to the subtitles, everything was much easier. But the music completely changed everything. So, yes, thank you again. And I really hope we can meet again, like maybe in Chto Delat or in St. Petersburg. I really would like to come and visit you. And I hope I can do it very, very soon.
We too. Yeah.
Okay.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Have a good night, and I hope you can come back as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
we
you.
hope to.
Ciao, and ciao also to the Dutchman.
Bye bye. Ну что, готово.